Hello there. In this video I'm going to explain briefly how you can use our Enneper jewellery software to create a range of items, um, and you can purchase them from our shop at £10 if it's just the Enneper software that you're interested in. And you'll find that on our website under Enneper jewellery software. These are some of the objects that you will get. You'll get 5 bracelet files, 6 earrings, 8 pendant files and 5 ring files, and we'll show you in a second just how easy it is to create this bracelet. There's another one, and there's also a video there as well showing you how you can use the Enneper curve function to create these gem mounts. So here are some examples of objects with Enneper curves on them. The Enneper curve is on the edge there. The gem support at the top here is created using an Enneper curve. These objects are Enneper curves as well, and some more. And this one, which I will show you in a second how you can generate that. And here's an Enneper ring as well. So if we go to Fluid Designer for 3D printing, these are the Enneper curve objects that come for pendants. And there are 3D objects in some instances. These are 3D objects, and there are kind of 2D flat objects. I'm going to stick to just the 2D flat one to show you here at the moment. So there's the basic Enneper curve, and what you can do, it's already set up for you, is you can change the count here and quickly generate a kind of pendant style object. And you can change the offset to change the pattern, and each time you do that you can see you get a different looking pendant. If you wanted to actually add in rows as well, it might be a good idea to take off the angular offset, and so you could create a pendant that looks like that, and just bring the count down a little bit, and you can change the number of rows as well. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of flexibility with that. And we can also, I'll just bring the count down a bit, just zoom in. You can also change the cross section. So at the moment it's rounded. That's a more sort of square cross section. This one thicker, so it's 1mm by 2mm deep, 1mm by 3mm deep. Okay, so you've got quite a lot of control over that, and there are also connectors available. So if you wanted to put a ring connector, you can add these to the object as well to create a finished product. Now, one of the features of all of these objects is that they are scalable as well, provided you actually go into edit mode and change the spline type to NURBS. What we can do there is, if I just scale this object up and do Control A and apply the scale, that's just reapplied the thickness there. If I just switch angular offset back on and just rotate these around, probably scaled it a bit too much here. Okay, so my original objects were actually quite small. The grid size there is actually just 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. I've now got 154 centimeters. I've gone a little bit too big actually, so let me just scale it down a little bit, 0.75, and just apply the scale. So I'm just setting it down to sort of 100 millimeters there. What I'm trying to demonstrate there is, once I've got the count right, that could in fact be printed as a coaster. So I started off with a pattern that could have been a pendant or even an earring, and by scaling it up there, I've changed it into a coaster size, because the actual size of this is much too big for a pendant now, because this is 130 millimeters by 123. Let's go back to jewellery. So if I just go to rings this time, and if I look for the Enneper objects under rings, you'll see how easy it is to create an Enneper curve ring. So I'll just use this object here. So there are several objects available. So there's the Enneper curve as a ring, and what you can do is you can change the size of the ring. So I'll change it to 18.4 millimeters internal diameter. Now we can forget about that circle that's there. I've changed it to 18.4. So what I've done is I've wrapped it around that circle. But again, because this is a smart object, I can actually change the thickness of it. So I could make it 1 by 2. That doesn't look very good. If that happens, the best thing to do is to just try 2 by 1. Just depends on the orientation of these objects. If I change it to 2 by 1, okay, and I can complete the pattern, and again I can adjust the offset values to get different sorts of patterns, so you can leave a gap there if you want or not, just depends on your preference. Now if I look down on the top of this, that's telling me that the inner diameter is not actually right now because I've changed the thickness, but that can be easily resolved by, I'll just switch off snap, I just move this up until the bottom of the ring is in, I'll just zoom in here, bottom of the ring's in line with the x-axis, and when I go back now, that's reset the ring. So that's got an internal diameter UKP plus size 18.14. If I wanted to make the ring thinner, I can do that as well. I can just press S for scale, and I'll limit it to the Z-axis, and I'll scale it, thin it down there, look, and just come out of that. So you can see I can change the appearance of the ring there as well. I think I'll just set it back to a rounded diameter. That'll change, yeah, change it back to that, yeah, okay. So you can see it's not quite right on the internal diameter now, so I just need to, again, just zoom in and just reposition that on the x-axis there. Okay, so you've got a lot of functionality with that. You can play around and create different patterns. And if I just go to bracelets as well, it's the same sort of idea, just on a slightly different scale. So here are some examples. Here's the Enneper curve bracelet that I showed you in the opening screenshot. That's this one here. So there's the Enneper curve pattern. I've just set it back to 1. You see there's the basic Enneper curve, and all we're doing is replicating it. And in this instance, it's a bracelet size, and we can see that here. Set the bracelet size. At the moment, the default size is 65 millimeters, but you could change the inner diameter to a different size. I'll just set it back to 65 again, so you'll see it going around that circle. And so you just complete the circle. And you can change the offset here, and that will change the pattern to suit yourself. Now if you don't want quite as many as that, what you could do, you could, if I just set it back to 1, if I just go into edit mode there, if I just do S for scale and x-axis, and if I just stretch it out along the x-axis, you can see that I can reduce the count that's required to complete this bracelet, so that brings it down to just 10. And again, you can change the thickness of this just like we did before, so you could thicken it up to 1 by 2, not very good that way, better 2 by 1. Okay, so you can play around with that as much as you want. Okay, so there's a number of different objects that you get if you purchase our Enneper jewellery software. There are 5 files for bracelets, 6 for earrings, 8 for pendants, and 5 for rings. Okay, so those are some of the styles you can come up with our Enneper jewellery software. Good luck if you purchase it.